The chair now recognizes Mr. Auchincloss.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Secretary. Earlier, a gentleman from Arkansas insinuated that the Department of Transportation wasn't moving on getting critical money out of the door. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, but I certainly share the impatience to get that money out the door. We're making sure we get it right, and we're making sure we do it promptly, too.
Appreciate it. I want to move now to highlight an important safety issue that impacts pedestrians, cyclists, and other road users. Under the new car assessment program, NCAP, the National Highway Transportation Safety Association currently grants 4- or 5-star safety ratings to increasingly large vehicles because the program focuses only on the safety of those within a vehicle and not on how those vehicles impact those around them. Last year, NHTSA responded to concerns about this rating system by proposing an optional pedestrian crash worthiness test within NCAP. With fatalities and serious injuries among pedestrians and cyclists skyrocketing by more than 50% in the past decades, it's clear that vehicle design can play an important role in reducing fatalities, including by improving driver sight lines and reducing weight and height. Mr. Secretary, does NHTSA have any plans to incorporate pedestrian crash worthiness ratings into a vehicle's final safety ratings? And what additional steps can your department take to improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists?
We know that the increase we've seen in roadway deaths has largely been driven by what happens to pedestrians and cyclists. And so if our understanding of vehicle safety only includes what is inside the vehicle, we're missing an important part of the story. And it's one of the reasons why we're paying attention to how to upgrade our NCAP program to provide additional information. That includes attention to the effect of a car's design on those who are outside the vehicle. And NHTSA is working on upgrading the program to provide more information about various things that could lead to improvements and avoid crashes. Things we're considering include blind spot detection, blind spot intervention, lane keeping support, and importantly, AEB, automatic emergency braking for pedestrians, which I think is important. We have published a request for comment, NHTSA has, to try to get public comment on adding a crash worthiness protection testing program to NCAP, which we also think would be important to have a data-driven approach here, and are continuing to advance on that. And of course, there are other steps that NHTSA is taking, like the proposal for a federal standard on AEB that we think could make a difference here and could be integrated into FMVSS.
An important part of improving walkability for our communities is the infrastructure investments in cycling and walking infrastructure, but also, of course, ensuring that vehicles are more safe, not just for those inside of them, but for the pedestrians and cyclists who are endangered by them. Mr. Secretary, you also opened up your testimony talking briefly about the work that DOT has done on junk fees for airline passengers, as well as your work on hiring air traffic controllers, which had been a critical bottleneck that had led to some flight delays. I want to allow you to expound upon the work that you have done on junk fees and how the flying public will see those impact them in the coming year.
Thanks for the question. We take seriously our authorities to make sure that the passenger experience is a better one. And part of what is especially frustrating for passengers is when you find that you were stuck with some fee that was not transparent to you. So we're working on several things at once. Part of it is the transparency piece, just to make sure that when you book a ticket and not afterwards, you can see any and all ancillary fees or charges that are associated with your ticket. Another thing is making sure that you get your money back if you don't get that service. We require that if your flight's canceled, you can get your airfare back, but need to make sure that there's companion rules so that if your baggage doesn't get there, but you paid for baggage, or if you paid for Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi doesn't work, that you can get your money back on that too. And then there are fees that we think just should not be charged in the first place. A good example of that is the idea of being charged to sit next to your kids, something that I was reminded of the other day when Chas and I were bringing our toddlers back to Washington from Michigan. And making sure that some things we understand that the market can provide a mechanism for people to choose whether they want this extra service or that. But sitting next to your kids isn't a bell or whistle. It's important, and you shouldn't have to pay for it. And so that's something that we have underway too. I think taken together, all of these are going to lead to a not just a better passenger experience, but I would argue a healthier marketplace for airline tickets in America.
between cracking down on the junk fees and improving the ATC hiring, I appreciate the work you're doing to ensure a better experience for the flying public in the year to come. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thanks very much.